Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so delighted to be back and I am checking in. I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to get in, and I'm so glad to be. I did this, a conversation like this earlier today, and it was a powerful conversation. And I am looking forward to connecting with everyone in this session as well. So I'm just going to give everybody a few minutes. I was reading, this is the daily inspiration. This cover is so beautiful this month. I just want to shout out to Tanisha, Ferguson, Rowan, and I feel like I don't have a good angle there. Tanisha, Ferguson, Rowan, and oh goodness, hold on. I got like a glare on it, so you can't see how pretty it is. It's so pretty. Anyway, but I just want to shout out because it's such a beautiful cover that they have for this daily inspiration. And I thought I would open with this because the daily inspiration is such a wonderful tool. Unity puts out one called the Daily Word, which is also very, very good and very strong. But today's entry is the joy of a new day. And it says, thank you, God, for the awareness that this is a brand new day. Thank you for the gift of choice. I start this day with praise and thanksgiving because I am grateful for my seen and unseen good. I will move through this day looking for and seeing only good. If anything other than good appears, I will not resist in anger. I will, through the action of my mind, release it to its nothingness and continue on my way. I will choose to see the Christ presence in everyone I encounter throughout my day. It is my choice to rejoice and make this a day full of love, joy, and peace. I will express the love I seek, and I know that love will flow my way. The peace I will radiate will bring a healing balm wherever it is needed. I see a glorious day ahead. So very excited about that. The Bible verse for that is, and these things we write unto you, that your joy may be full. I love that your joy may be full. There's a joy in a new day. And I had that experience literally right before I got on the broadcast. My internet decided, hey, we're going to go haywire here. And I thought, oh my God, are you kidding? I got to go live on the internet in like 2 minutes. So it really caused me to release it. I will not resist in anger. I will, through the action of mind, release it to its nothingness and continue on my way. And so the fact that we are sitting here, that you are watching this broadcast, is clear that truth works. So I did not have to shockingly cancel the broadcast or something like that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. If you guys leave me just a little chat, let me know that you're out there. And that you're hearing me clearly, that would be great. I really appreciate that. And I have tons of notes so that I'm going to be working from for this training. So first, I'm Reverend Sherri James. I'm the Assistant Minister and Chief Operating Officer for Understanding Principles for Better Living Church in Los Angeles. And I am also a blogger. I think I said that to someone for the first time, and it sounded so odd. It was like, I'm a blogger? Like, I'm a minister, blogger. Yeah, I am. But I am a student of the Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman, the Reverend Dr. Della Reese, and the Reverend Dr. Mary Tumpkin. Those three spiritual giants have been so important in my life, and I'm so grateful for them. Barbara just wrote, she said, I'm here. Thank you, Barbara. I see you. Shout out to Barbara. I was reading something in preparation for this training, and there's some research that came out from the University of Scranton that says that 4 out of 10 people quit their resolutions before reaching the month of February. That's like 40% of the people. And when I think about that, 40% of the people, so out of 10 folk, 4 people have said, I quit by like, February. And then even more fall off after that. And I think that it is an interesting thing to look at, is what is it that gets us off track? And that's what we're going to look at today. is how do we keep, how our emotions impact our experience? Because typically what gets us off track is we start to not feel like it. All of the enthusiasm that we had when we first got started, when we were sitting down and doing the planning and thinking about the year, all of that enthusiasm has basically petered out. And we're just kind of like, moving, back into our routine. There's a book that I have, and I'm not through reading it, but it's called The War of Art, and the author is Stephen Pressfield, and he used the term resistance, that we start out and we are trying to make a change, we're trying to make an adjustment in ourselves. We want to, in my case, I want to be published this year. And I know I have started so many different books. I have so many books I want to bring to the world, but I've started them and stopped them. I have screenplays that I've started and stopped. I have other things that I've started and stopped. And each time along the way, I start out just super enthusiastic. I can see the project in its entirety, and I know that it's going to be more amazing than anything that I ever, could have imagined. And then somewhere along the way, the enthusiasm that I have for it just kind of peters out. And I think all of us have that experience where we are going for our dreams, going for what we want, we're moving towards it, and then something catches our attention or something doesn't go right inside of one day, and all of a sudden we're completely off track. And I don't know if that's happened to you, but it certainly has happened to me. And what Stephen Pressfield says is that we encounter the resistance anytime we try to do something important. It could be improving our health, writing a book, reaching a financial milestone, getting our inbox to zero. We've all felt it 100 times. And me for sure felt it this morning. I was getting ready for the day. I was planning to be up at 6 o'clock to give myself some additional time, but I was sleepy. And that alarm went off, and it was like, oh, I could just hit snooze. And then at one point I hit snooze and I didn't hear the alarm the next time it went off. And then I jerk awake at 8 a.m. like, oh my God. And so that extra 2 hours that I was going to give myself was just gone. So that resistance comes up, and we have to have a way to deal with that resistance. And so there are some techniques that we can use. But the point of this training is to really just talk about how the emotions impact experience. In the course, in core work, we actually get down to the nitty gritty and actually deal with how do we deal with that resistance. One of the things that I did before this training is that I put out a couple of other trainings that you probably have seen. I sent out a link with it with All Access Pass. And the first one I talked about was how to leave an emotional rut. That what makes the difference in our experience is not that we get into emotional ruts, but that we actually have an effective technique for getting out of it. And there are things that you can do where you can use music, where you can write. Writing does that for me, where if I sit and I start to write something positive and just writing those affirmations or something like that. In fact, I keep on this shelf here, I keep a journal, and one of the things that I do each morning is that I sit and I write affirmations. And I'm looking at, this is December 19th, 2013. And I write, I am God's anointed messenger. I am God's anointed messenger. And I just write it over and over and over again. Really, really simple things. I am now free from my past. I am now free from my past. I believe I am free from my mistakes. I believe my storms have ceased. I believe I am gifted. I believe my dark clouds have passed. And I'm just writing this over and over again. Now, this is December 25th, 2013. So this journal I've been carrying, I've been working on this journal since, when did I first get this? I first got this in November 2013. And so I'm still writing it. And every day I fill a page of affirmations. And so the really, really simple thing that you can do to get a hold of yourself when you're in that emotional rut. And then the other video that I put out was how to stay focused. And I introduced a prayer technique that you can use, which is writing a letter to yourself from your higher self. And that letter follows the format of the letter that is in the first few chapters of Revelation, but it is a form of self-coaching. The thing that I find is what keeps us in emotional ruts and what gets us off track and keeps us from getting back focused is that we're going through life, but we're like flying at the high level, and you got to get down to like the nitty gritty and the day to day, and you got to schedule the things that help you stay on track and schedule the things that help you keep your life in focus. I also talked about how to handle the winters of life. Life moves in cycles. Just like our seasons come in wherever, even in California, we have seasons where you have winter, spring, summer, and fall. If you're in a winter and at any point in your life, there's a place where you're in the winter, there's a place where you're in the fall, and there's a place where you're in spring and a place where you're in the summer. And the thing is that when you're in the winter, the thing is not to lament the fact that it's winter. Just put on the clothes that you need to put on and plan for spring. But mostly what we do is that we say, oh God, it's winter. Winter's going to last forever. And now we have, and so we start to feel bad that it's winter. And the thing is that it's winter. Just put on the clothes, wear the clothes, and know that spring is coming, because spring always follows winter. And the only way that spring doesn't follow winter is if you become attached to the fact that it's winter. So it is simply not becoming attached to the way that things are showing up in your life right now. All of this training was for the purpose of showing you some practical steps for managing your emotions. The scripture says, out of the heart come the issues of life. The heart, metaphysically, is your subconscious mind. Out of your subconscious mind come the issues of life. Whatever is expressing in your experience right now is expressing because of what is in your subconscious mind. Well, the subconscious mind is also known as the feeling nature. It is the feeling aspect of your mind. It is where your emotions sit, your feelings, your memories, your past experiences, your habits, your beliefs. All of those things rest in that subconscious phase of mind. And so whenever it is that you want to make a change, the change has to be affected at the level of the subconscious mind. And so this is why sometimes you start something and then you get off track, because it's in the head knowledge space. Head knowledge is great. It helps you in the moment, in the exact moment that you're in. But what you want is heart knowledge, where it becomes a part of your operating system. And we all have practice. Tony Robbins says repetition is the mother of skill. Repetition is the behavior that gets a belief out of a practice, out of the head knowledge, and turns it into a belief that sits inside the heart. All of us at one point, I'm assuming that we're all adults on this chat, meaning that I don't have any kids that are on the chat. All of us at one point had to be reminded to brush our teeth. All of us had to be reminded to, wait a minute, did you brush your teeth? Before you walk out the door. And those of you that are still, parenting young children, you got to ask that question. Did you brush your teeth? Because that is part of them growing up. But there came a point where it stopped being head knowledge, meaning there's a point where they don't know to brush their teeth. And then you have taught them to brush their teeth, and then they brush their teeth on their own, right? So there's a point at which it stops being head knowledge, like, oh yes, I got to go brush my teeth, to it just becomes what they do. And so we all have that experience where something has moved out of the head and moved into the heart. What keeps something from moving out of the head and moving into the heart is some kind of emotional blocker. And so let's say that you have struggled to lose weight, or you have struggled to move something out of your life or bring something into your life. There is an emotional base there that is influencing whether or not something is going to cross that threshold. And part of dissolving that emotional barrier is through lots of different techniques, but the most primary is going to be through prayer, because what you're talking about is a character change. You're looking to be changed at depth. And so it is through that prayer work that you are able to move something out of the head and move it into the heart. So, case in point, experience for us comes through feeling. Everything that happens to us happens through us, right? I'll say that again. Everything that happens to us happens through us, and specifically through the feeling nature, which is why the scripture says, out of the heart come the issues of life. Experiences in and of themselves don't mean anything. They simply don't. That somebody was at a red light and they didn't go when the light turned green doesn't really have a meaning to it. It doesn't have any feeling attached to it. We bring the feeling to the experience. And tell me if this is true for you. Have you ever been in a space where you have been so happy that even if someone who was angry came into your space, their anger couldn't bring you down? You have been so excited about whatever it is you were excited about, and they may be having a really rough time, but because you were so happy, it simply couldn't dampen your energy. How you show up is a function of choice. And so when we bring the emotion to a situation, and you have proven it to yourself, if you have ever had an instance where you were so happy that nothing could get in the way of your happiness. I had this experience taught to me very clearly in two different instances. So very early in my career, both of these companies I worked for, it was an instance where the company decided not to renew my contract. In the first instance, I was younger. I had not yet got into this truth teaching, and the company decided to basically not to renew my contract. We like you, but we're not going to renew. And I was so sad and so depressed and so disappointed that literally every day I was like the Walking Dead. And I went into work and I just couldn't smile, and I was just a mess. And who knows what it was like to work with me. I don't know what my coworkers think or thought of me or whatever, but I just was so sad. And when that last day came, it was like tucking my tail and walking out of the door. I barely wanted to look for another job because I had taken the fact that they didn't renew my contract personally. And so it really just kind of really cut me to my core. And one of the things so going through that experience, and one of the things that I got from that was that it really it blows to not have your contract renewed. But two, that it was a very emotionally devastating experience. Now, cut to 15 years later, similar situation, different company. And the company comes and says, basically, we're not going to renew your contract. Now, I've had this training now. And so I know that whatever has shown up for my good. And so instead of being sullen and down-faced and sad, every day I go in, I'm happy. In fact, I start doing extra. So I don't pull back, I lean in. And not because I'm trying to impress the people who've decided not to renew the contract, but because I am working with a higher power, and because I understand that I bring the emotion to the situation. How you show up is a function of choice. And, I know that my attitude toward the entire thing probably surprised my coworkers, the ones who knew that my contract was not being renewed, because I just was euphoric. And I don't know if they thought, well, maybe she's just happy to go. And it was like, it's not about you. I'm happy because I bring the emotion to the experience. And so that's point number one. We bring the emotion to the experience. Experiences in and of themselves don't have any emotion. They're not good or bad. Shakespeare says no thing is good or bad, only thinking makes it so. So no situation in our experience is good or bad. It is what we decide to feel about it. The challenge is that we believe our feelings, meaning we believe that that's the way that we feel versus we understand that that's the way that we've told ourselves to feel. And you've got to realize that however you're feeling, even right now, is how you're telling yourself to feel. And you can tell yourself to feel good. So part of the mastery, part of growing into the spiritual giant that you are, is teaching yourself to feel the feelings that produce a better world for yourself. Now, here's the thing. What you feel, so you become, so your experience becomes. So if you decide that I'm going to be happy no matter what, literally your world will conform to fit that happy. And so the things will appear to you, and you and someone else can be having a similar experience. But because you recognize that you are in charge of your emotions, you guys are having two totally different experiences. How you show up is a function of choice. The emotion you bring to a situation is a function of choice. You are responsible for how you feel at any step along the way, and nothing makes you feel a certain way. Both of those experiences, my contract is not being renewed. Both of those experiences, I'm essentially not going to have a job. Both of those experiences, the so-called income has dried up. Two totally different responses. And one is simply the result of training, because I know better. I know to embrace wherever I am, and I know to bring happiness wherever I am. I want to share a story with you that illustrates my second point. Some of you may know Diana Nyad. Diana Nyad is a Olympic athlete, and she swam the stretch of sea between Havana, Cuba, and Key West, Florida. And she did this when she was 64 years old. So I'm going to read this to you. It says, Key West, Florida. It's Monday, September 2nd, 2013, just before 2 p.m. Eastern. Diana Nyad stumbles ashore. Her legs are wobbling about like a drunk because they've not taken the weight of her body for 53 straight hours. She officially reaches U.S. soil. Her face is swollen like a balloon. Her speech is slurred because her lips and tongue are blistered and swollen, a result of wearing a special jellyfish mask. Find a way. She had just completed a personal challenge, a dream, making her the first person in history to achieve this feat without a protective cage. This was her fifth attempt at that dream. 53 hours earlier, 8:59 a.m. on Saturday, she jumped into the ocean at Havana, Cuba, and had just crossed 112 miles of shark-infested water with no shark cage. The same stretch of sea where swarms a deadly Atlantic box jellyfish calls its home. Jellyfish with lethal venomous stings that practically shut down your nervous system. Diana's story is incredible. But here's the most important part. The journey from Cuba to Florida didn't start 2 days earlier. Her journey started in 1978. Yep, some 35 years ago. She was 28 years old then. The attempt was so painful, so draining, she tried to put the dream in a box and move on with her life. But it was still there. Like a splinter in her mind, feeling awkward, always there, talking to her. It was waiting for the right moment, growing in significance and power. It wouldn't let up. So she tried again in 2010, 2011, and 2012. Pig-headed determination and persistence, from a burning desire to fulfill a dream. Failure again and again. Then the right moment. The swim wasn't easy, said Naiad. You have a dream 35 years ago, doesn't come to fruition, but you move on with life. But it's somewhere back there. Then you turn 60 and your mom just dies and you're looking for something. And the dream comes waking out of your imagination. Those were the slurred words Diana Naiad said after staggering out the sea on the beach in Key West, Florida. She was 64 years old now. Can you imagine that? Find a way. She chanted this over and over to shut negative thoughts out of her mind. Instead of thinking how far she had to go, she focused on the 6 inches of open water in front of her. She told herself, forget about the surface up. Get your hands in somehow, and with your left hand say, push Cuba back and push Florida towards you. And even though Diana could barely speak from blisters in her mouth, she said to the crowd at Key West, I got 3 messages. 1 is we should never, ever give up. 2 is you are never too old to chase your dreams. And 3 is it looks like a solitary sport, but it takes a team. She stopped thinking about all the training, how to move her arms, and just got down to reach forward with my left arm, push Cuba a little further away, and push Florida towards you. Repeat, repeat, repeat for 112 miles. Now, think about this for a minute. My days of staying up overnight are pretty much gone. I used to be the queen of the all-nighters. In fact, that I wouldn't even start studying until like midnight. So I was queen of the all-nighters. So I want you to imagine staying up for 2 days in a row and then just add, I don't know, 10 more hours for like giggles. See how you feel. You know, and like I said, in my early 20s, I could do that. I getting ready for an exam. That's it. Just to stay up all night. But now I want you to do that swimming the whole time, day and night, no stop. Oh, and with sharks and box jellyfish to contend with. Oh, I'm sorry. And make sure you're 64 years old when you do it. Amazing. See, it is not about what you can physically do. The truth is that you can physically do anything at any age. Jack LaLanne proved that. Any athlete that you look at that has kept themselves in condition, they have proved that age is not a factor. You may have to do things a little bit differently. You may have to account for things a little bit differently, but there is literally nothing that you cannot do. What makes the difference between whether you do something or not is your emotional state. And here's the thing. Would you not agree? Because she started this when she was 28. Would you not agree that she's in better shape at 28 than she is at 64? And yet, when she tried to do it at 28, she said the attempt was so painful, so draining. So she tried to put the dream in a box and move on with her life. Barbara writes, challenging and amazing. It sure is. Now, I don't know about you. I haven't yet touched 60, but I'm very well past 20. I remember when I was 20 and I wake up and felt good. I didn't feel nothing. I slept. It'd be like I had never slept, meaning I was rested, but there was no physical manifestation. I don't know how many of you wake up in the morning and you think, did I sleep wrong? Did I lay on something wrong? I got to get a new mattress. I don't know if that has been your experience or not. My point being is that this woman at 64 years old, if it was painful at 28, don't you think it's painful at 64? 35 years later? If it was painful and draining at 28, don't you think it was even more painful and draining at 64? So what made the difference? The emotional state. She said, find a way. This is what she kept chanting to herself over and over and over to shut out the negative thoughts out of her mind. Find a way. And I love this. Instead of thinking how far she had to go, she focused on the 6 inches of open water in front of her. She told herself, forget about the surface up, get your hands in somehow. And with your left hand, say, push Cuba back. And with your right hand, say, pull Florida towards you. It's not about what you can do. It is about what you emotionally feel like you can do. So many of us don't feel like doing anything. And we think that that is actually how we feel. It's not true. And so the second point of this training today is to recognize that our feelings are not true. They are simply what we have told ourselves. So point number one, how you show up is a matter of choice. What the feeling you bring to a situation is a matter of choice. The second thing is that the feelings that we feel are not true. Meaning that we can tell ourselves what to feel. We are not in any way stuck in a particular situation. And this is shark infested water. I don't know if I said that enough. Shark infested water. She's 64. Oh, and there's jellyfish that if they sting you, it shuts down your nervous system. Oh, and I'm sorry, swim for 2 days straight plus 10 hours. There's nothing you can't do. Each one of us is gifted with a unique light, like Diana's light pressed out in the form of her swimming and being this Olympic athlete and swimming from Cuba to Key West, right? So that's the way that her unique light pressed out. My unique light presses out in the form of me teaching. That I recognize that this is part of my divine gift. And I say this, and I don't mean this in any way arrogantly, but I mean it very confidently. I could teach you the phone book and you would think that it was Shakespeare, because I understand how to get behind the nuances of a material and break it apart in such a way that you'll be like, oh my God, I didn't even know that was all in there. And it's just the way that my mind works. It's just the way that I look for information. There's a way that I process information. And I recognize that your unique light is going to press out of you in the way that is unique to you. But you've got to get your feelings out of the way. Your feelings are not true. So when you think that you don't have energy, when you think that you have been just drained and I can't do no more, tell the truth. That's a lie. The life force that animates you does not dim over time. So the same energy that you see running around in a 2-year-old is the same energy you have as a 65, 66-year-old. Now, I know it don't feel like that, but you spend a lifetime telling yourself what you cannot do. So no wonder it can't feel like the 2-year-old anymore, because you have spent a lifetime beating it out of yourself. But it's not gone anywhere. And if you will put your attention on it, if you will affirm it, at 64, this woman is and here's the thing, she started it at 60 and failed. She failed at 61. She failed at 62. She failed at 63. She finally got it at 64. She's not getting any younger. Find a way. Forget about the surface up. Get your hands in somehow and push with your left hand. Say, push Cuba back and push Florida towards you. Push Cuba back and push Florida towards you. That is just fire. There is nothing you cannot do. I have another story I want to share with you This story is of a young lady that I've had the privilege of working with. I think she is dynamic, and I'm so proud of the work that she's doing. And it is Ava DuVernay. There's a film that came out earlier this month, January 9th, around the U.S., called Selma. And it is a commemoration of the historic march in Selma, Alabama, that compelled President Johnson to sign the 1964 Civil Rights Act. And now the film came out, and it did not get any award recognition for the Academy Awards. It wasn't nominated for any of the other Academy branches. And some people have claimed racism. They've claimed a lot of stuff. Here's the thing. Whatever it is, you're responsible for the emotion that you bring to the situation. And so I am very proud of what I'm seeing Ava do in terms of how she's responding to this situation. Instead of responding as if she has been wronged, it is the emotional response she has taken is to be completely neutral to it. That, okay, this is just what happened. So I'm going to share this article with you. Selma director Ava DuVernay has revealed that she is not surprised about not being nominated for this year's Academy Awards. In fact, Ava knew last month that she didn't make the list, but no one in the Academy threw any hints her way. DuVernay simply stated it's math, which according to her seldom adds up in her favor. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Ava DuVernay explained how the film's screening copies failed to reach Academy members, and then the film failed to be nominated by the Screen Actors Guild, Producers Guild, and Directors Guild. When asked about her disappointment on not being the first African-American woman to win an Oscar for directing, DuVernay responded with a hopeful statement. It would have been lovely. When it happens to whomever it happens to, it will certainly have meaning. Now, here's something else. Though Ava knew that odds were against her, she was determined to stick to her vision. According to a recent statement, DuVernay had a clear plan to the creation of the film Selma that she refused to let any outside sources compromise. It was important to me that my voice, my vision stayed intact, because if this movie failed, then it did so based on what I truly liked rather than on some compromise someone got me to make. I would have never forgiven myself because I knew there was not going to be another chance. After the announcement of the 2014 Academy Award nominees on January 15th, many people swarmed to social media in protest for what they considered pure racism. In agreement with the biased Academy voting was longtime member Alfre Woodard, who starred in 12 Years a Slave. Among the first all-white Academy Awards nominee list since 1998 are directors Clint Eastwood and Christopher Nolan, a list that many feel DuVernay has not earned the privilege to be added to. The director's first film was as recent as 2011. Seniority aside, Ava has expressed both her anticipation and skepticism for her future in the director's chair. And this is what she said, and I think this is the part that's really telling. I've never been in this place before. There is no precedent for it, and there is no Black woman I can call and ask. I'm trying to be clear and follow my own footsteps because there is no Black woman's footsteps to follow. Getting charge of your emotions, being on top of your emotions is beyond important. I can't stress it enough. God did not call you to keep the status quo. So if you have a dream that is maintaining the status quo, that's not God. How about that? God did not call you to keep the status quo. Your unique light, when it presses out of you into expression, it is meant to take you where you have never been before. No one had ever crossed the channel between Havana, Cuba, and Key West, Florida. For Ava, no one woman, Black woman, has been nominated for an Academy Award for Best Directing. Your unique light, when it presses out of you, is going to take you where no one has ever been. But we thwart it when we get attached to negative emotions, when we don't get a handle on who we are emotionally. I taught this lesson last night with Blessed are the Peacemakers in the Bible Hangout. Your job is to speak to the emotions that are raging inside of you and say, peace, be still, and insist on it. Don't just leave and say, oh, okay, I can't seem to like clear my head. Stay there, get still, talk to yourself, calm yourself down. Your unique light, when it comes through, it's coming through to take you where you have never been before. Now, will there be setbacks along the way? Absolutely. If you've seen Selma, you know that Selma is a beautiful work of art. And probably in a different world, Ava would have been nominated, but she didn't get nominated. So when things don't go the way that you want them to, how do you show up? Do you show up as a spiritual giant who recognizes that I'm in a realm where no one has been before? And though I didn't get the accolades that maybe I feel like I rightly deserve, or other people feel like I rightly deserve, I'm still going to show up gracefully and graciously. Your emotional state, you are responsible for how you show up. You are 100% responsible for how you show up. So point number one, how you show up is a choice. Point number two, you got to get control of your emotions if you want to press that unique light out. Number three, when you get setbacks and things don't work the way you gave your all. I know she gave her all to that film. If you saw Selma, you know she left everything on the screen. That whatever she had creatively inside of her, she pressed out in love into that film. So when you face those setbacks, do you get caught up in what's quote unquote not happening for you? Or do you simply stay detached and recognize that all is well and all will be well? This is the kind of work that we're going to be doing in core work. This is time to get down to the nitty gritty. This year for me is about getting published. I have books inside of me. I have books inside of me. And I know you got stuff inside of you. So this course is part of actually a 4-part series, but this is the first course that is going to focus on getting a hold of your emotional health. It is not about what you can do. You can do anything. What it is about is what you believe you can do, what you feel like you can do. Barbara wrote earlier, she said low momentum, getting that low momentum out of the way. And I understand that low momentum. I know that, where it just feels like you move in heaven and earth, just trying to put one foot in front of the other. I absolutely understand that. So this course, the way that it's set up, there are 7 modules for the course. We'll meet once a week for 7 weeks, beginning Tuesday, January 27th. Each weekly call will last for approximately 1 hour or longer if needed. I've structured my day so that it's completely open, so that if anyone wants to be needs more help, I'm available. So the whole day is open on January 27th. During that time, we're going to discuss the lesson and answer questions that have come up from the weekly assignments. And so there are 7 modules, and module 1, which starts on the 27th, this is the strategic foundation. It focuses on how do core beliefs drive the experience. And we're going to look at that connection between thought and action. We're going to look at, why are some habits harder to form or break than others? And then how do my emotions impact my core beliefs? And that's module 1. And then in module 2, we're going to get down to nitty gritty and just start looking at what are your core beliefs? What are the things that are driving your behavior? And so we're going to zero in on those recurring negative thought and behavior patterns. And we're going to tear down the inner resistance to change. We're going to uncover some of those hidden stumbling blocks. Sometimes we're walking around with stuff that we don't even know is there, and that interferes with our ability to establish and maintain a new core belief. Module 3, we're going to get unstuck from negative or limiting core beliefs. And so this is where we're going to start to tackle some long held attitudes that maybe you've been dealing with for years. We're going to get some in-depth training on getting out of emotional ruts and answer the question, am I stuck with the core beliefs I've had all my life? Sometimes there are things that you've been carrying. You may be in your 60s and it feels like I've dealt with this all my life. It's never going to stop being this way. We're going to look at patterns that recur, especially when it feels like something that you shouldn't be dealing with at your age. Module number 4, what you see is what you get. So using the power of attention to shift your world. We're going to look at techniques to break our fixation on things that are not working. We're going to look at learning to see the world in a way that prospers you and really developing an eye for abundance. And then module 5, this is where we start to just get to the heart of the matter. This is about aligning those goals with those values. That first, just identifying your values, and then understanding the connection between goals and values, but then lining them up. And then also in this is raising self-worth. Whatever you have in your life right now is what you feel worthy of. So having something different is a function of raising the self-worth. Module 6 is the power of speed. And this is what you were referring to, Barbara, when you said that low momentum, is we're going to start looking at techniques to develop momentum towards your goal and harnessing the power of your emotional energy. You know, a lot of the bumps in the roads that we hit, we are able to run over when we get some momentum. So a lot of the things that stop us because we don't have a big enough momentum. So that's one of the things that we're going to address. We're also going to look at the quickening power of prayer to change your world. If you're going to have any kind of lasting character change, meaning where you have a different response, you don't just show up the way that you've always shown up, it's going to be because of prayer. And so we're going to look at how that influences your world and how we use prayer to quicken the momentum that we have towards our dreams. And then finally, module number 7 is make it last forever. The last thing we want is to do this stuff and then have it slip away. So this is going to be about uncovering that mindset that enables core beliefs to stick. So we're going to look at the keys to lasting change and also some techniques for tracking your progress, because what you measure, you increase. So if you're ready for lasting change at the core of your being, then this is the course. I invite you to join me. There's a button beneath where you can register now. You can click that and go ahead and register. But just a couple of questions. And if you have questions, this is the time to ask them. A couple of things that have come up in the earlier Q&A, but also in this time period during open enrollment. So when does a teleclass meet? It is a 7-week intensive, and it meets once per week for 7 weeks, beginning Tuesday, January 27th at 4 o'clock Pacific, which is 7 o'clock Eastern, or 6 o'clock for like the Midwest. There's also some stealth study where in between the weekly calls, you will work independently. And also I'll have some additional training videos that I'm going to prepare for you that will be put out over that 7-week period. But the teleseminar is an opportunity for us to address any questions that arise from the assignments and or the reading. What if you have to miss a day or you can't make one of the call times? No problem. Each call is recorded. Also, there's going to be opportunities for you to pre-submit your questions if you can't join live. And now here's the thing. I do encourage you to join the live calls. The live participation, it enhances the learning experience for you and our community. Also, only live callers have the opportunity to get that one-on-one counseling in the hot seat segment. So this hot seat segment is something new that I haven't done this before, but it's where we will literally put you on the hot seat. If there's something that you want to address, we will deal with it right there on the phone call. And so the call is set up for that. And it's a wonderful learning experience because anyone is willing to go ahead and sit on the hot seat. We all get something out of it, not just the person on the hot seat. Are there assignments to complete? Yes. I call it soul work. So we won't call it homework. But you will get out of the program what you put in. I like the soul work assignments because, it's Socrates that said that the unexamined life is not worth living for a human being. The part of the soul work is conditioning yourself to examine your life, conditioning yourself to see yourself. And so the soul work assignments are there to help you see yourself. Now, what if I get behind on the soul work? No problem. The files for each class are going to be available to you forever. So you will have them. How much time do I need to commit to the teleseminar to be successful? Well, for the 7-week intensive, I definitely recommend that you set aside at least, the hour for the phone call, for the Tuesday call. Like every learning experience, what you put into the course will determine what you draw out, but I'm going to be there with you to support you however you decide to show up. Self-study. The self-study, one of the things that I found is that if you keep that same time frame open or a time frame like that open, it's like make it a non-negotiable appointment. You make an appointment with yourself for yourself that you will not miss. Will you offer core work again? No. I'm constantly, there are always new and fresh ideas that I have for courses that are coming up. What will happen is that the course will be packaged. It will not include the community support or the live class experience. And just FYI, the price for the packaged digital product will be higher. So I strongly recommend that you take advantage of the course right now. And just trust that you were guided to the right place at the right time for the perfect experience. And don't put your spiritual growth off into the fanciful future. Take control of the power that is now. So that's the course. Oh, I should say this. So 7 weeks of teleseminars, more than 20 hours of training, all of the training. Oh, I forgot the bonuses. Woo. Okay, wait. So a couple things. One is I included with your registration is this 40-day system called Daily Abundance, and it is created by Dr. Jarrell Pulley. It is an awesome, awesome, awesome piece of work. It is a 40-day system for abundance, and I cannot wait for you to dig into it. So this is yours. And then I have a limited number of these copies, but for the first, 15 or so people that register this on today's webinar, this is Reverend Sheila McKeithen's new book, 12 Steps to Your Healing. And it is a phenomenal book. Those of you that know Sheila McKeithen, she is the new president for the Universal Foundation for Better Living. She, in 1985, was given 6 days to live. And I listened to her story recently, and it's the doctor said to her when she went to see the doctor, I don't even know why you're standing. You don't even have enough blood in your body to be standing here. And so she, through practicing the principles that she shares in this book, she healed herself. And obviously they work because it's 2015 and she's still with us. So that's 30 years later, literally. So those are yours. So all of that, plus these 2 wonderful systems, it's $57. Now, I know that this kind of training, if you go anywhere else, and I'm not going to name any schools, I'm not going to name anybody, but I know that it is hundreds of dollars. But something I have learned in the UFBL is that freely receive, freely give. And so this information has been put into me, shared with me. And so I have made it available to you at an affordable price. And trust me, I love, if you've done anything with me and a Bible hangout or whatever, you know that I like to over deliver. So this is going to be an amazing course. If you have any questions, definitely this is the time to ask those questions. Someone brought up in the earlier I can't get my words together. In the earlier webinar, they have a lot of things on their plate. And the thing is that this course, it's kind of a twofold thing. One is that you'll have the files and the material forever. 2 is that, what you put into it, you get out of it. I personally like the live experience. I've done digital courses before, but I think I prefer the live experience. There is just something to working with that community connecting with the people in that community and experiencing them, and really getting that group support. So I would suggest, joining the live class, and then working it out, trusting that you've been led to the right place at the right time, and that the resources, meaning time resources, that you need in order to take the class are possible. I want to share with you a couple of testimonials. So the teleseminar, I've been doing teleseminars now for a while, and I really love this format. And so there was a teleseminar that I did in August. I feel like it's all blending together. But yes, I did, because it was right at, I don't know, anyway, July, August, somewhere in there. And it was 21 days of forgiveness. And this is one of the testimonials from Robin Johnson in Inglewood, California. And she says, "Your class cleared up so much for me with regard to forgiveness. Prior to this class, I found it difficult to forgive because I felt it was admitting guilt or reconciliation. Since the class, I am more ready to say, I forgive you and I forgive me. I had a very sensitive situation in my family this week. I was hurt by it and upset, and I had to say, I forgive you in order to release the pain and move past the hurt. I also said I release it and I don't want to speak about it anymore. This class gave me the courage to forgive and not feel like I was being a wimp, for lack of a better word, by forgiving. So thank you for what I feel is a deep subject, and you were brave for bringing it in. Forgiveness, I believe, really gives us an opportunity to look at ourselves first. I'm still working with the understanding, because I really do want to be in a place of forgiveness. I don't want unforgiveness to block my flow of good, and much more my relationship with God." And then Margaret Garvin from Phoenix, Arizona wrote, "Dear Rev Sherri, you are just an unbelievable dynamo. Thank you so much for your forgiveness class. I began thinking I had no one to forgive, but as I progressed, I realized that there was a literal floodgate of those I hadn't released. It has been a very liberating and freeing experience. I wasn't always able to listen each day and have some catch up to do, so I'm glad that the recordings are available. I have also had the experience to say no, which has been interesting. And I must admit, I am still feeling a slight twinge of guilt, but not as much as I normally have. Thank you. Connecting with you has truly been a blessing for me, as I feel I have grown so much spiritually and learned so much. Thank you for all that you do and give. You are truly an emissary of God's divine love and light." So I don't know if there were any other questions. Those are two just testimonies of people who have been in class with me. Anything else that you are interested in knowing about core work? Oh, I should mention that registration closes on midnight, Monday, the 26th, midnight Pacific. So definitely you want to get that in there. All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure this evening, and just a blessing. And I am looking forward to seeing you in the course. Take care. Have a great night. And I'll see you guys on the other side. Take care.